This tutorial is for 6th grade, Module 4, Lesson 6. In this lesson, we're going to look at what it means to simplify algebraic expressions. To start with, we have a variety of addition problems here. The first one says 5 apples plus 2 apples. Well, if I have 5 apples and I get 2 more, then I have a total of 7 apples. And when I have 5 ones and I add those to 2 ones, I get 7 ones. If I have 5 tens and I add 2 more tens, I get 7 tens. If I have 5 eighths and I add 2 more eighths, I get 7 eighths. And let's do one more. If I have 5 tenths and I add 2 more tenths, then I have 7 tenths. So you can see that even though each answer has an answer of 7, each problem is counting something different. So here we counted apples and then ones and tens and eighths and tenths. So that 7 has a different meaning depending on what the unit was in each problem. So we're going to think about that when we work on these problems that have variables. The first one says 5x plus 2x. Well, I can think of that as I have 5 of some unknown number, and to that I'm going to add 2 more of that same number, which means I would have 7 of those unknown numbers. And in this case, whatever number we put in place of x for the first term, we put that same number in the place of x for the second term. Question B says we have 6 of some unknown number, and to that we'll add 2 more of that unknown number, which gives us 8 of the unknown. Question C says I have 2 of an unknown number, and I'll add 3 more of that unknown number. So that would be 5b, or 5 of the unknown. In question D, I'm going to start with 8 of some unknown number, and I'm going to take away 3. That leaves me with 5 of that number. And question E says I have 5 of some number, and I'm going to take away 4 of that number. That would leave 1 of the number. Now, we do not write it as 1f. If you have just 1 of a number that you're showing as that variable, you just write the letter that you're using for the variable. You don't put the 1 in front of it. Now let's look at some drawings that have both numbers and variables. My first drawing, I have 3 ones and I have 2 x's, or 2 unknowns. So you can see when we simplify our expression, we need to group things that are alike together. So I'll group my ones and I'll group my variables. That means the simplified expression would be 3 for my 3 ones, and to that I'll add 2 of the unknowns, or 2 x's. So 3 plus 2x is the simplified expression for that drawing. In my next drawing, I have 2 x's and 1 y. The x's and the y's are different from each other, so you would not combine them. So our simplified expression would show that we have 2 x's, and to that we're going to add 1 y. And just a reminder that we don't put a 1 in front of the y, we just put the y. We can also use multiplication to simplify our expressions. Anytime we have a number outside a group that's in parentheses, that means we have 4 copies of whatever's in the parentheses, or 4 times that number. If I have 4 copies of 2x, that means I have 8x. So in problem A, I have 3 times what's in the parentheses. If I have 3 copies of 2x, that would give me 6x. Going across, I have 5 copies of 3x. That would give me 15x, because 5 times 3 is 15. Here, I'm going to take 2 copies of 6x. That's 12x. And to that, I'll add 2 copies of 5y, and that would be 10y. So the simplified expression is 12x plus 10y. And in problem D, I have 4 copies of 5x, which would be 20x. And to that, I'll add 3 copies of 2y, which would be 6y. So the simplified expression is 20x plus 6y. In the last section, we'll just simplify these expressions. I'll just do a couple here. Well, if I start with 3x plus 4x, we'll have 3 of some unknown number. To that, I'll add 4 of that number, and I'll get a total of 7x. In problem B, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 copies of some unknown number that we're calling A. So that would be 6A. Let me drop down to problem E. Here I have 5 copies of 2x, so that would be 10x. And to that, I just will add that 10. And let's go over to problem F. Here, I'm going to combine things that are alike. So I have the 7 and the 5. And then I have the F and the 3F. So if I have one F and I combine it with 3 other F's, that gives me 4 F's. And then I'll combine my numbers. 7 plus 5 is 12. So the simplified version is 4F plus 12. And let's go down to problem H. Here I have 3 times 7x, well that would be 21x. But from that, I'm going to subtract 10x. Well, 21 minus 10 is 11. So the simplified version is 11x. So when you're thinking about simplifying these expressions, think about how many copies of that variable you have in each part of the expression.